Folks, welcome to the Dunbar Center here in Tucson, Arizona, and we're joined today by two amazing creators and artists, people that are intent on keeping the cultural heritage of the African American cultural heritage alive here in southern Arizona and beyond with the Heart of Wakanda event. It's coming up on October 20th. Beah Williams, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Beah, can you talk a little bit about your mother and what inspires you most about her adherence to keeping awareness and culture alive here in Tucson?
I would just say basically, I grew up in the culture. I mean, she brought West African and African culture here to Tucson, Arizona, and being brought up in that type of household, knowing that as I grew up, that was something that was just, instilled in me to continue to bring the community together, collaboration, to continue on the culture and the heritage because of the importance of, making sure that Tucson has a community and, bringing that awareness to the Black community and to Tucson, Arizona in general, that we are here, we have something to bring, and she's brought it in with the West African dance, history of African culture from all over the diasporas of Africa. So it's just been kind of, I've been raised in it, so you continue to, continue the legacy is basically what I am trying to do here.
Could you give an example when you were younger of the West African traditions that you were inspired by most that she brought to your house, that was in your house?
I would definitely say the West African dance. We continue to always, travel and just the upbringing of celebrating Kwanzaa in our household, which is an African American non-religious holiday. And then as I got older, I took on that responsibility of making sure that our family continued to celebrate Kwanzaa and also bring that to the community, as well as traveling for dance conferences, for drum conferences, just out of state. And then her just, I danced in all styles, bringing the ballet, Dunham, Caribbean, West African. So, when you grow up in it, of course, you just see that it's something that, you love to enjoy. I love to dance. I don't do it as much now, but I do love to continue and dance.
Yeah, actually, a dear friend of mine, Mtume, the son of Jimmy Heath, was part of the US organization, and they founded Kwanzaa, which is an incredible holiday and should be recognized more. Barbea, you talk about keeping the culture alive. I was reading that in the write-up for this event. How strong is the lineage of the culture of the motherland currently in Tucson, and how do you want to keep it? How do you want to keep it alive?
The fact that we're still here after 45 years is testimony to definitely saying that there's a strong foundation, that there's also people out in the Phoenix area that are also very much a part of that initial group of people. Myself, Dr. Mark Sunkett, who's an ancestor now, and Consuelo Williams. We were some of the original people that when I first came here, Mark and Consuelo used to come down here to Tucson and work with us. And we worked also with the Black Theater Company or troupe out of Phoenix, Helen Mason at the time. And they're still going strong. I was the last artistic director of the Ododo Theater, which was the Tucson Black Theater Company. And and we're working with other groups. Last year, Beah and Trion the team Keep Culture Alive, who we've partnered with, the BWPC, the dance company that bears my name, has partnered with. We put on a really phenomenal step show, and it was really well received. And again, when you look at African culture, I look at it as a foundation, and African people as a foundation for that. But we have so many expressions, not only through music, but through dance. And so, you know, you have the fraternities and sororities that have the step dance. And so we had a phenomenal step show, which we're looking forward to, again, having the second annual one in February next year. And so I would say it's definitely, we are keeping the culture alive. That's our mission. That's our calling, that's our foundation, and that's Africa, be it the continental Africa, Africa, be it Brazil, Cuba, Haiti. This is the 100th year of the anniversary of John Louis Destiné, and just, you know, his power. He was not only considered the father of Haitian dance, but he was also considered, he was also Dance with Catherine Dunham, who was, you know, who I definitely, call and call on often in the spirit world, but the matriarch of Black dance globally. And so that's a part of what we're working with too. We have youth that we're working with. We're at Troya High School right now doing some work with some of the students over there. And definitely have ongoing classes here at the Dunbar Pavilion for children, teens, and adults. So, you know, we're continuing. It's a work ethic. I'm working with a group out of Phoenix, the African Diaspora reunion. Next year is the 400th year to commemorate our ancestors that were sacrificed in the from 1619 to 2019 out of Jamestown, Virginia. So we've been working to establish and reestablish through that commemoration, and also the United Nations has acknowledged and designated from 2015, I believe it was, until 2024 as the year of year of the African people. And this is on their website. You know, this is something that they've deemed in 2015. We were acknowledged as being a part of that also here in Tucson.
Beah, one of the things that's going to go on at this event, the Wakanda event, is this natural hair. Can you talk a little bit about how that's going to look, and how, you know, I love natural hair, but can you talk about how the hair of your people has evolved over time?
I would say definitely for the Heart of Wakanda event, as we all saw in the movie Black Panther, that they expressed the reason behind why they decided for all the actresses, and actors to have natural hair. And that spans from all of the diasporas of Africa and the different textures of hair, the curliness to the waviness of our hair, as well as being able to do so many different braids and froze and twists and everything like that. And it has evolved. It's evolved in the sense that we've gotten ridiculed from people, from our children in schools, to bullying about our hair, about our natural hair, about having to wrap it up, having to make sure that we were seen as colonized, and because we needed to have straight hair, from relaxers to straight combs and having it just straight to be accepted in the workplace, to be accepted in society. Right. And now the movement that we are doing is, Black Girls Rock. That we have natural hair. We're proud of our natural hair. We are, and we're not going to look back. I believe that if you have extensions in your hair, if you have natural hair, if you have it braided, whatever it is, as long as it looks, intact, it's decent looking, that's the beauty of hair. The beauty of hair is to be able to express yourselves. And that's what we did in Africa, is that your hair, it actually established your tribe. Your hair, right, back in those days, used to be able to identify who you were, right, where you came from, and where you belonged. And so it's your heritage. It doesn't matter what you do with it, as long as you move forward. And we've decided to partner with a couple of different stylists and hair salons here in Tucson, as well as in Phoenix. We have Artistry Beauty Studios, which is in Tucson. We have Melvira's Beauty Studio, which is in Tucson. And we also have Free Expressions by Deshauna, that is in the Tempe, Phoenix area. And I've had my hair done personally by them. And that was the whole reason behind making sure that we moved forward in this, to showcase and partner and have them partner with the designers to showcase what they can do, what they have to offer here in Tucson, and to present to the community that, we do have Black hairstylists that can beautify you and, create those styles that we see.
For people that are watching locally or even in Oakland, people that keep the comments coming in, but I mean, what can people expect? Can they come and have their hair done in a natural way at the Heart of Wakanda event?
They cannot have their hair done here.
Okay.
But they can definitely get information from the salons. They will have tables. So we have our vendors that will be here. So they can get their business cards, and they can definitely set up an appointment. They can Google the 3 salons that I mentioned earlier, definitely, and look at their portfolios on Facebook, as well as, I'm sure, Instagram, because everybody's on Instagram nowadays, just to see what type of styles and what they can do. And most of them can do from natural hair, they do color, they do extensions. Some of them own their own extension lines. So it's very versatile, and I'm sure they can hook it up.
Barbea,
the designers also.
And the designers.
Right.
The more to the clothing side, but Barbea, we hear about John Brown, for instance, who was enraged by slavery, but of course he was white, so he was allowed to be enraged. You never hear about the blacks, the African Americans that came here that were also pioneers against slavery. And I wonder, how much of an emphasis is it about talking about the hero, your heroes, your people, not the white people that were enraged by slavery, but in fact the heroes of a diaspora, like Toussaint Louverture, for instance, and people like that?
Well, absolutely. Toussaint Louverture, 1804, the first independent African nation in the Western Hemisphere, along with Bookman and Destinés. There were a few people that were, and Christophe, there were a few people that were involved with that leadership. We know Toussaint Louverture as a spearhead also, but there were other people that were not only after he was unjustly taken to Europe and imprisoned, but also that kept the culture alive of the people there. But we definitely have. I was just reading about Denmark Vesey's place in Charleston, South Carolina. One, because my
Thank
mother,
you. Denmark Vesey's amazing.
Yeah.
Brian Jackson was telling me about him the other day.
Absolutely. In Charleston, South Carolina, and how important he was, and how people there are trying to establish establish a house, I believe it was, that, honors his name. And also, I have a cousin that just, with the Cohen Discovery Group out of D.C., that just won a genealogy award that was just awarded to him, national award that we're really proud of. So again, I always tell him it runs in the family, and so it was really exciting, and I was very proud of that. But there were many. Nat Turner. I mean, there was Sojourner Truth. Frederick Douglass. I mean, we have so many.
The North Star.
We have some new ones. We got Chance the Rapper up here, and Hendrick Lamar, and we've got these new heroes along with our ancestors. We've got these new young people that are really beginning to raise that bar and that awareness about who we are. So it's really up to this next generation to be able to really understand that. But there's so many people that we really, in the dance world, that in the music world, I mean, Catherine Dunham was definitely a major humanitarian in her work, in her fasting for the Haitian people, to her outspokenness globally. She changed in Brazil, I believe it was 1960, it was in the 60s, I don't remember the exact year, but her company was discriminated against. John Pratt, her husband, was a Canadian man, and a lot of the people that worked for her, they they would make these reservations, but when they got there to Brazil, they were discriminated against and not allowed to stay in the hotel that they had made reservations in. And there is now a law, because of Ms. Dunham. She used her celebrity, she used her fame to speak out against that. And there's a law now that is actually, I think it was 1965 for some reason, that keeps coming to my head, but that allows now, that was a beginning of that movement in Brazil, the African Brazilians have their own movements going on now these days about just some of the injustices and inequities that they're faced with. I mean, there was just a woman that was crowned the carnival queen, and she wasn't allowed to take that because they were saying she's too dark, escuro, she's a dark woman, she's too black and negra. I'm like, our skin color and our melanin is what defines us, and black is beautiful and will always be beautiful and powerful. And that's why you see so many people in Africa now, because of just the resources. It's, initially it was Europeans that were there, and now you have Chinese people that are trying to take over Africa. Why? Because of the resources. And it's only people of African descent that are not acknowledging. So it's up to us, again, not only to keep the culture alive, but to continue to educate people about who we are and our natural resources that we need to begin to tap into and share and unify as an African people, not only, again, continental, but again, and the diaspora.
Either one of you can take this, but Toussaint Louverture, the great percussionist Bill Summers, was talking to me about the fact that in Haiti, Napoleon could not penetrate Haiti because of his leadership. They had sticks and rocks and stones, but it was the power of the drum. It was the drum that kept those people, the language of the drum and also the power of the drum, that enabled those people to be inspired enough to fend off the French. They could not penetrate Haiti. Rhythm, Beah, you can take it if you want. Will there be, you talk about dance, how much of that dance is predicated on real human rhythm as opposed to automated or computer rhythm?
Well, that, I would say it's all of that, but it was their faith. It was their belief system.
That's right.
Those people, when we use America, you have that voodoo that is
Hoodoo.
that has that stereotype of sticking pins and various things in people, and Hollywood has unfortunately blown it out of proportion in such a negative way that not only people of African descent but everybody globally is almost afraid of that. But voodoo, condo. Spiritual man, people want to call it witch doctor, but those unfortunately the kind of misidentifications and stereotypes that people are given. So, but again, it's the faith of the people, and it's the unified faith of the people that kept them going.
Beah, my show is predicated on the 4 L's, which is leadership, love, life, which is overcoming adversity, and lineage. The Heart of Wakanda is focused on the 3 C's, okay? Community, collaboration, and culture. Why don't you take community? What does that mean, and how will that look at the Heart of Wakanda?
Well, first, my co-founder, co-partner in the community, Treon, he came up actually with those 3 C's.
He did.
To develop and execute within Team Keeping the Culture Alive. And really, community for us is making sure that there's really not a community here in Tucson, so we are very spread out. So we need to find a central location, a central common ground for all of the community to come together and to be a part of something. And so especially with the Heart of Wakanda, the community portion of it is really, the vision of that is to bring Black businesses, Black organizations, and Black retail vendors here and make sure that we know who is there, the resources that we have here in Tucson, and those individuals that can, if somebody is looking for a financial advisor, if somebody's looking for a home, an electrician, who are those people here that we can also, tap into, and what organizations are looking to, are looking for board members, or are looking to have us be a part of that. The NAACP, the Black Women's Task Force, Barbea Women's Performing Company, all of these organizations that we have here in Arizona, in Tucson especially, need help. They need younger members. They need young professionals. And so that is the time to be able to recognize and to get people to come out and see the resources and who we have here. And then again, buying Black. That's who our retail vendors are for. That we need to put that money back into our community to continue to build in our community. And that is what we're developing as our marketplace. We also have Dr. T out of Phoenix. He's a STEM chemist, and he's going to be incorporating some fuel cell systems and vibranium. What would that look like if it was real? And then we have also the the University of Arizona College of Optical Sciences, women in optics. So we're also bringing in women in science. So that is also showing the community that, you know, these different professions and these different organizations that we have here also have, are representing Black. We started with a boutique here in Tucson and branched out into Phoenix. She does have a storefront as well in the Metropolitan Mall, and she is Akila Alochi with Shawana Thompson. So they can get you dressed and ready, and you know, for any type of event that you have coming up. And not just, you know, it's not just straight African attire. It's African inspired, it's Caribbean inspired, it's colorful. I mean, if you want to go big,
And all these things are, so many things were invented by Africans. And Beah, I wonder, how do you connect? I mean, you're kind of a Gen Xer, right? I mean, is that where you fall into?
I'm not a Gen X, the next one up.
Yeah. How do you bridge between your mom's generation, which is, I mean, and Barbea is obviously steeped in the history and the tradition, but how do you connect that generation to a younger generation that, at least from my point of view, I'm looking at it, and I'm not sure how much we've advanced as it relates to social justice. I mean, you use the word 1960.
If you get stopped, what do we need to do? If having those conversations with our children, and even though it may not, I've seen people do it right. Put their hands up, put their cell phones away, don't touch anything, and still be executed and murdered by officers. But at the same time, it just has to be that conversation that we continuously have.
Last time I was in the motherland, I was thinking about Horace and how he identifies Mexico